Adam Smith was a Scottish economist and philosopher, who was a pioneer in the thinking of political economy and philosophy, and a key figure during the Scottish Enlightenment. Seen by some as the father of economics, or the father of capitalism, he wrote two classic works, The Theory of Moral Sentiments, and An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations. Smith published The Theory of Moral Sentiments in 1759, to demonstrate a comprehensive and unusual version of moral sentimentalism. Smith continued making extensive revisions to the book until his death. Although The Wealth of Nations is widely regarded as Smith's most influential work, Smith himself is believed to have considered The Theory of Moral Sentiments to be a superior work. In the work, Smith tried to develop moral theory out of ordinary moral judgments, rather than beginning from a philosophical vantage point above those judgments. He rejected attempts to reduce morality to a single principle, and instead sought to provide an account of the operation of ordinary moral judgment, that recognizes the central role of socialization. He critically examined the moral thinking of his time, and suggested that conscience arises from dynamic and interactive social relationships, through which people seek mutual sympathy of sentiments. His goal in writing the work was to explain the source of mankind's ability to form moral judgment, given that people begin life with no moral sentiments at all. Smith proposed a theory of sympathy, in which the act of observing others and seeing the judgments they form of both others and oneself, makes people aware of themselves and how others perceive their behavior. The feedback we receive from perceiving, or imagining, others' judgment, creates an incentive to achieve mutual sympathy of sentiments with them, and leads people to develop habits, and then principles, of behavior, which come to constitute one's conscience. Smith published his magnum opus, An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations in 1776. This book is considered the first modern work that treats economics as a comprehensive system, and as an academic discipline. As a reaction to the common policy of protecting national markets and merchants, what came to be known as mercantilism, the economic theory that dominated Western European economic policies at the time, Smith laid the foundations of classical free market economic theory. The Wealth of Nations was a precursor to the modern academic discipline of economics. In this and other works, he developed the concept of division of labor, and expounded upon how rational self-interest and competition can lead to economic prosperity. Smith argued that deepening the division of labor under competition leads to greater productivity, which leads to lower prices and thus an increasing standard of living, general plenty, and universal opulence for all. Extended markets and increased production led to the continuous reorganization of production and the invention of new ways of producing, which in turn lead to further increased production, lower prices, and improved standards of living. Smith's central message is, therefore, that under dynamic competition, a growth machine secures the wealth of nations. Smith's argument predicted Britain's evolution as the workshop of the world, underselling and outproducing all its competitors. Smith also believed that, when an individual pursues his self-interest under conditions of justice, he unintentionally promotes the good of society. Self-interested competition in the free market, he argued, would tend to benefit society as a whole by keeping prices low, while still building in an incentive for a wide variety of goods and services. His statement about the benefits of an invisible hand may be meant to answer Mandeville's contention that private vices may be turned into public benefits. Nevertheless, Smith was wary of businessmen, and warned of the conspiracy against the public or in some other contrivance to raise prices. Again and again, Smith warned of the collusive nature of business interests, which may form cabals or monopolies, fixing the highest price, which can be squeezed out of the buyers. Smith also warned that a business-dominated political system would allow a conspiracy of businesses and industry against consumers, with the former scheming to influence politics and legislation. Some scholars have perceived a conflict between the theory of moral sentiments and the wealth of nations. The former emphasizes sympathy for others, while the latter focuses on the role of self-interest. In recent years, however, some scholars regard Smith's works as emphasizing different aspects of human nature that vary depending on the situation. In the first part, The Theory of Moral Sentiments, he laid down the foundation of his vision of humanity and society. In the second, The Wealth of Nations, he elaborated on the virtue of prudence, which for him meant the relations between people in the private sphere of the economy. It was his plan to further elaborate on the virtue of justice in the third book. Finally, in light of the arguments put forward by Smith and other economic theorists in Britain, academic belief in mercantilism began to decline in Britain in the late 18th century. During the Industrial Revolution, Britain embraced free trade and Smith's laissez-faire economics, and via the British Empire, used its power to spread a broadly liberal economic model around the world, characterized by open markets, and relatively barrier-free domestic and international trade.